Yo, what up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Source and Company. I am your host, Source, of course. You're always welcome to follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Smitty Source on both of those. And, of course, subscribe to the Source and Company YouTube channel. All right, let's get into it. With me today's company is my old high school teammate. He moved on and went to UVA, played basketball there, played overseas a little bit, came back, and now he is a business owner in the 804 area. His name, Yuri Barnes. What up, bro?
What up, man? It's good.
Everything, man. Just living life, keeping it moving. How you been?
I've been pretty good, man. These different times, historic times that we're going through right now.
Yeah.
I'm blessed to be healthy, blessed that my son is healthy, blessed that my loved ones are good, Tough times, but I'm doing well.
Excellent. Yeah, that's what it is. So we're going to get straight into this thing, man, because, we've been talking back and forth a little bit before we went on and hit that record button, but you got a lot of stuff to say that I'm trying to hear. So let's run it back real quick. You were born in D.C.
Born in D.C., right. My mother had me at 18 years old. She, right before going to college, East Carolina, when she went on to become the first to graduate in my family.
Wow.
But she had me in D.C. and somewhat kept it secret from my grandmother and just sort of presented her presented me to her rather.
Right.
And but from that point on, I lived with my grandmother until I was 14 years old when I moved to Richmond, Virginia. Yeah. Grandmother and grandfather, I say that.
Wow. Was that smooth? Like from then to 14, was that smooth? Or was it something that you remember being like, I don't understand what's going on, you felt torn or anything like that?
No. I won't say it was smooth. It's something that, honestly, my mom and I, it might have affected me just about all my life, because she was 18, she was young, and looking back on that, and I've talked to her about it, I can just, she was 18, man. Grew up in a strict household with my grandfather and grandmother. And when she went off to college and after that, she probably just wanted to live a little life, as young girls do.
Right.
And but my father was here in Richmond, Virginia. So I was in a situation where I wasn't with either parent. But my mother lived, once she graduated from school, she came back home and lived with us, with my grandparents for a while, with all my aunts and uncles there as well, which is why all my life, I didn't even call her mom or mother, which probably also speaks to her being young, that she probably didn't mind not being called mom or mother. It was, I called her Joyce, that's her name, because probably that's what her brothers and sisters called her that was in the house when I'm there, So I'm sort of living just as a child, almost like a sibling, but that's my mom, you know what I mean?
Wow.
I call my grandma, that's mom, because everybody called her mom, but yeah, it was difficult. And once she moved out, she became a teacher. She got a job teaching in a school district that's like 12 miles away from me. So she moved out, but my grandmother didn't want me to leave. I had started school. I'm like in kindergarten or first grade or something like that. And so she had her own apartment. And I think she kind of didn't put up an argument or fight to have that freedom. But she still would come. I'd see her 3-4 times a week, laying the law down on my grades, checking everything. It's like she's a school teacher, graduated from college, and she had those aspirations for me, just with education, and pushed it hard, so.
Gotta respect that. So everybody was comfortable with it, though. Everybody was comfortable with the situation. That's wild. You mentioned earlier that you were getting those calls. I guess the recruitment started based on your performances at camps.
Yeah, I mean, I was very tall. I was taller than everybody else. I was just telling a friend of mine today. I was 12 years old. I was 6 feet tall at 12 years old, and that's when I first dunked the basketball on the 10-foot rim at
Mm.
Ralph Sampson basketball camp somewhere in the mountains in Virginia, I think it was, and got a picture that I posted on my Instagram with that, me, my brother, and Ralph Sampson, matter of fact. But yeah, so I kind of, middle school, early middle school, I was doing well, and that progressed to 7th, 8th, 9th grade is middle school. 10th grade was my first year JV. Would have been at a high school, but by 8th grade, I was being recruited by 4 or 5 different high school coaches, calling my grandmother's house, trying to figure out a way that I could get to their program. Or, well, don't your grandmother live over here? I heard you have an aunt that lives over here. So I got a taste of what recruiting was like at an early age. And it, man, I'm kind of a private dude, even at that age, so it was no fun for me. It was not glorified or anything like that. It was to the point that I was ready to leave and just kind of escape that and just go somewhere where people didn't really know me and just try to work it from there. But so I went to 5-star basketball camp going into my 10th grade year, I think it was. So summer of 9th grade, after 9th grade was over. And that's where I met one of my best friends now, Coach Jason Williford, assistant coach at University of Virginia, played at John Marshall, because they put us, we didn't know each other, but they're looking at addresses. And I had my dad's address because I was moving to Richmond, Virginia with my dad. And they just grouped us together as roommates, and we became instant friends like that, never knowing we would become college teammates and stuff. But
That's dope, though.
yeah, so that's how we met when we were 14, 15 years old, and been tight ever since. Now, fast forward, I'm the DJ on the Jay Willie Show, which comes on YouTube live every other Monday. I'm on there tomorrow night. So,
Oh,
yeah.
word. Yo, that's wow. Yeah, because well, obviously y'all played in college together, and then
Yeah,
y'all both
and I'll tell you, Mike,
college.
UVA winning the national championship, like that little story, I believe everything happens for a reason, and the people you meet, end up taking you the paths that you come across and that you end up going on, and the people that you meet along the way.
Right.
Jason and I maybe not rooming together. He probably wouldn't have gone to UVA. That's just how crazy things work. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely feel like every guy that went there, that played at UVA before, and just people to cross paths, it's like a snowball. It's like the camaraderie, the team, all the stars somewhat aligned, God at the tip of all this making things happen. Like I feel like that's as much as my success as it is their success,
Agreed. Yeah, because I mean, it's the legacy that was built, or the path that was built before the championship team that actually got them there. Yeah, I mean, I feel like people feel that though, that,
Mm-hmm.
that before them, or the players before the success had a hand in it. I definitely, and plus, I mean, y'all went what, Sweet 16, and
Yeah, we went to the Elite Eight.
it was the Elite Eight. So right, Cincinnati. That was Cincinnati.
Right.
Yeah, because that was a Sunday. It was a Sunday, that game.
Think it was. Yeah, I think it was.
It
But
was.
that was as far as we got. And yeah, man, shoot, I think we may have lost to Arkansas that year, who went on and lost to Duke in the national championship. But those were good times, Yeah, I was a 6'8" center, undersized somewhat, but out there, holding my own, getting busy.
And
Yeah.
I definitely remember those days. Even before that, but like you talked about, you came to Richmond going into 10th grade. And I remember, I distinctly remember like the first day of school or whatever it was, late
Oh,
summer.
yeah.
It was like,
Let me tell you.
yeah, it's this dude that's coming to Manchester. He's supposed to be like 6'6", blah blah blah. I was like, ain't nobody coming, ain't nobody coming to Manchester. Yeah, I'm in. I don't know. I don't even know when I realized you were there. But I remember being like, oh, okay. I've got to see
Yeah.
what this game looked like.
I was running. You remember Jimmy Bell? He was our point
Absolutely.
guard. He was, I think, maybe a year or two over me.
Mm-hmm.
You're my year though, right?
Yes.
We're the same class, no doubt. So Jimmy was like maybe 2 years over us.
2 years. Yeah, he lived in my neighborhood. Yep.
So I'm not sure how we met. Maybe because I hadn't even met our coach at the time. I didn't meet Coach Charlie Smith until the first day of school. He knew I was coming, but he never reached out to me or anything. But I'm not sure how Jimmy and I met. But Jimmy had me, like, we were going around just playing ball. It's like he was showing me off like I was a new car. You know, you catch this, ooh, here, boom, boom. Yeah, this is what we got, And that was cool too, But I remember the first day of school, just like you, it brought back memories as you talking about it. But Charlie Smith, he comes up to me, the coach, and I mean, I'm head and shoulders over everybody, and I'm walking like I ain't going to trip and fall. So he figured I must be this guy that's come to school to play. So he taps me on the shoulders like, "You Yuri?" I said, "Yes, sir." He says, "Follow me," and he takes me to his office. And at this time, I had been getting letters that would come here and there to the school, to my house rather.
Right.
From, because remember, I just moved from Goldsboro to Richmond, Virginia. So the letters that were coming were only because Richmond was my address when I went to basketball camp that summer. So I had gotten like maybe a shoebox of letters that was at the house that I was collecting. And, I was probably looking at these things every day. I'm like, yeah, this school, that school. I was proud of my little shoebox. Every time I go home or, I might get a letter to come through, 2-3 letters a week. But he takes me to his office. He pulls out a black hefty bag of letters from colleges and stuff. And he was like, "These been coming. This is for you." And my jaw dropped, man. I was like, wow. So I went home. Imagine riding home on the school bus with this hefty bag.
Yeah.
Telling all these kids that's asking what's in there, So that was crazy.
Wow. I did not know that. Never knew that. That's crazy. So, well, obviously, 10th grade, 11th grade, y'all made the run to States.
Yeah. At States, lost to Bayside.
Bayside, yeah. Bayside ended up in the joint, right?
And they won it. Yeah, I fouled out in like 2-3 minutes left of that game. But we went to the States from our region. It was us, Manchester, and TJ, Thomas Jefferson. Yeah. So Kendrick Warren and them. I think they might have lost to Grant Hill's team, maybe, South Lakes.
Man.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it was some good ball in Virginia, man.
Yes, and I don't think people, well, they might not realize it today. I mean, because most people don't look back 20 plus years and be like, "Oh, I wonder how it was." But Virginia, the state of Virginia had like ballers from probably the late 80s to the mid 90s. It was like a lot of D1s. I mean, yeah. It's kind of getting like that more now, actually.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna shout out a couple of my teammates, man. Rendell Miller. Right. He went on. He got some looks from schools. Mark Briley. Think he went to maybe Bridgewater or something like that. Left-hand shooter. Brent Bell might have walked on at Richmond. Dietrich Graves, my dudes, man.
Indeed.
So we went to the regionals in the States. That was our plateau.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
In 12th grade, like I told you, man, I mean, I was there, but I do not, I don't remember the fact that you were an All-American. It's not a surprise, but I just didn't, like I said, things like that I usually remember. And I was like, when I read it the other day, I was like, word? I was literally there for this moment and don't even remember.
Yeah, like I said, it ain't like I got a letter that's like, you're an All-American now, you know. But
there was no internet, so
when you get invited to the McDonald's All-American game and the Dapper Dan, there were two McDonald's games at that time. One was in Louisville, Kentucky, and then the other one, there was a big one, I think in DC, and the Dapper Dan. So I played in the Dapper Dan and that other McDonald's game. But I really didn't know, man. I had no clue. I mean, I took that McDonald's jacket I had with All-American on the back, and I was like, well, maybe, I guess. Maybe I am. But if you think back to my class, I mean, that was the class of the Fab Five, you know, so I might have, you know, like I said, I was ranked as high as 11th in the country, and that stayed pretty consistent from there to like top 20, top 25, depending on who's writing and who you were asking.
Right. I do.
Yeah.
I remember Jock Vaughn from that McDonald's game. I guess because same year, you know, so I definitely remember another point guard. And I remember Jock Vaughn got busy in
Travis Best was my year. Actually, yeah. Travis Best, the year before going to Manchester, I was in the 5-star All-Star game. Travis Best, who played at Georgia Tech and went on in the league for a while, 3 or 4 years, I think. All I did was run the floor, man, and he just dropped dimes. Straight, he couldn't even dunk, just straight layups. I ended up like 15 points, got All-American, MVP of that game, and next thing you know, I'm getting a trash bag full of letters from my coach. So that's how that all worked out.
Okay, shout out to Travis Best. Of course,
yeah.
Point guard. I gotta respect that.
Yeah, he and Corey Alexander, who's my teammate at UVA, they were like neck and neck as far as the top 2, 3 top point guards in the country coming out. And they kind of were basing where they were going around each other's decisions and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So Corey really wanted to go to Michigan. And but Travis said he was going to Michigan. So Corey ended up committing to UVA, and Travis didn't go to Michigan after all. So
wow.
Yeah.
So why did you end up going to UVA?
I grew up a huge ACC fan in North Carolina. I was actually, man, I was diehard UNC fan growing up. You were either Duke, NC State, or Carolina, where I grew up in North Carolina. And so I was sort of partial to the ACC, growing up in the ACC. But I wanted to go to a school that was strong academically. You know, that's all my mom said and cared about. It had to be a good academic school and one that was pretty high profile, if possible, you know. So I didn't have to leave Virginia for that. You know, it was right there. But yeah, it's close to home, you know, those other perks, but
so it wasn't necessarily the program, it was everything, and then the program was a bonus.
Right.
Okay.
But, you know, that year I think I had narrowed it down. Maybe my 5 were Villanova, Vanderbilt, Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, and UVA. You know, and all were, you know, pretty good, strong academic schools.
Academically, yeah. My nephew actually works at Wake Forest, so I feel you on that as far as the academic part. Dang, that's a heavy 5 though, academically, for real.
Yeah.
Tech. My daughter goes to Tech. Wake, of course, Vanderbilt, and UVA. So yeah, that's a crazy 5.
And when I say, I was telling you earlier before we started recording that I would tell a kid to go where they feel like they're really not just wanted, but really needed. You know, you could tell the difference of how you're being recruited by one of those schools versus one that will, as you mentioned, tolerate you. How'd it go? Tolerate?
Celebrate versus tolerate.
Right. So Vanderbilt was one of those schools. Virginia Tech was one that just really, really, really recruited me hard. And You know, I have no regrets about where I went going to UVA, because I
Right.
feel like everything happens for a reason. You know, the people you meet, your loved ones that end up becoming your friends and brothers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wouldn't change that for anything. But basketball purposes alone, I would tell myself to go to a school. If a school is talking about building a program around you, try to go to one of those
Mm-hmm.
first off, you know, as opposed to one that's saying we'd love to have you, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta respect that. I mean, I've seen kids more recently that I know from a distance where they've had offers from major, like, top 5 schools as far as usually ranked in whatever sport. But they tell them, you're not guaranteed to start. You're not guaranteed anything. We could see you
Right.
start in 2 years. And then, you got another big program on the other side. And they're like, come on, we need you right here. Then that need, I guess it depends on how bad you want to go to that first school and
Mm-hmm.
how bad you want to get on that field or court, depending on the sport.
Right. Right. Because it could be a school that you sort of looked up to,
Mm-hmm.
or was a fan of your whole life, but that may not be the school for you. Even if they want you,
Yeah,
you have to think outside of your own situation and
100%.
make the right choice.
100% agree. So through the career, like you mentioned, y'all went to the Elite Eight, uh, ended up playing my favorite NBA player, Nick Van Exel, and Cincinnati Bearcats.
Nick the Quick.
Yeah, man,
Hey, man, that brother walked in. I think it was the game, maybe it was the day before we were playing them in
mm-hmm.
the tournament. So we're there watching the current game going on, and Cincinnati walks in, and Nick Van Exel had on a full-length fur coat over top of his sweats and stuff. And to be honest, a couple guys might have got shook from that point on. Just like, man, what in the world? Like, who is this? This dude, like he's Clyde Frazier
Yeah,
coming up in the joint. It just built up a mystique,
yeah, that's real. Little mind game on him.
Maybe I ain't think of it that way, but
Yeah, yeah, of course. As a young man, yeah, I mean, and it might not have even been that. It might have just been, oh, this how I, this how I rock. I'm out here.
exactly. I think it might have been more of that. But even still, mind game worked whether it was intended or not.
Respect.
Yeah.
So you ended up bouncing out to what? I guess what was the trajectory looked at for you as far as going on and playing? Was the Netherlands like, or was overseas like your first choice? Or
Oh no.
I still want to hoop, so I'm going, here.
Yeah. And in my mind, I was not ready, like offensively, because at UVA, I didn't have the ball in my hand a whole lot. It wasn't a lot of it to go around. But so I my shine more on rebounds and offensive. My best year I might average 9 or 10 points. Maybe that was my third year. But I knew I wanted to get better. But I did get offers, man, and actually I kind of regret that path that I took.
Oh yeah.
I got letters, not offers, but I got letters to go to camps for the Detroit and Denver right out of college. But I knew, like in my mind, I was going to go overseas, get better offensively, come back in a year or two, and try to make an NBA team. That was my goal, But there's things that you don't know as a kid. There's things you don't realize how important your agent is. You don't realize that your agent can only work within his area, pretty much. within his contacts. That's where he's going to work you, you know. If he has no experience getting players in the NBA, then he probably ain't going to get you in the NBA. And this agent was I was sort of led to this guy. That dude, it was an overseas-based agent, you know. And I remember interviewing a couple of agents that were here in town, in states, you know. And that's probably something that I could have did different, but I don't regret anything. But that's just something I would have done different looking back on things, you know.
Yeah, but your path led you to where you are now. So, I mean, you seem to be good, you know,
Yeah.
all spirits and doing things you enjoy, and the DJing, which we'll get to in a minute, which is something I know you love as a beat maker as well.
Let me tell you this too, though, Mike. I'm good, but it still seems like there's people that are like, man, you could, like when that 5-5 documentary came out, I don't know if you know my little piece in that.
Nah.
Yeah, like I told you, that was my year. The Chris Webber, all those guys, that was our year. Matter of fact, they were the number one recruiting, like they would have been the number one recruiting class of any year you pick, probably, from 1980 to now, those 5 guys. But we were the number 2 recruiting class. Myself, Jason Williford, Junior Burrow, Corey Alexander, and Chris Alexander that year. So, but that 5-5 documentary that Jalen Rose, he put out, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And fantastic piece. I didn't even watch it the day it premiered on ESPN. But there's a segment on it where they're showing how these guys, how they got recruited how they all ended up in Michigan. And there's a part where they're showing the top 25 players in the country. And I forget which player it was. He was like right below me. And they're pausing the screen and you just see my name with Yuri Barnes, which I hated my name growing up as a kid because it was so different. But I wouldn't change it for nothing in the world, you know, now because it's so different, you know. But so they see me, man, if I just started blowing up. People texting me left and right. Yo, I ain't know, why ain't you go to Michigan? You could have blah, 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 blah. You know, so I'm good with everything, but sometimes people, they live through your eyes or your experience, and especially your loved ones, you know what I mean? You know, my ride was their ride too, some of them, you know?
I mean, it's probably everybody, like, for real. It's probably everybody, whether they express it or not. I mean, we could say the same thing. Like, thinking back to 91, who on that team? Nobody. It was just you. It was only you that went to school, 2 ball specifically.
Yeah.
Scholarship, 2 ball, and did it successfully. So I feel like everybody probably lives vicariously through.
And you know what? That's how it should be. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with that. You know, because we went to school with a famous singer, right? You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
D'Angelo.
Of course.
So you gonna tell me when we watch him, I went to school, that's my boy, I went to school, even though I don't remember having many conversations with him, you know, but I just know he knew me, I knew him. Right. He was at school, he was in the same lunch line I was in. That's my dog. You know what I mean? So Absolutely. When you see him doing his thing and women screaming, yes, it's a sense of pride. That was my ride too. And we're still on that ride because it ain't like his career is over. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. So, I mean, we just heard him on a joint with Rhapsody not too long ago. So
wait real quick.
You good?
You want to take some bread? Sure, something in there. All right, my bad.
No, you good. Yeah, we just heard him on a joint not too long ago with Rhapsody. So
Oh yeah.
Still rocking when he rock when he want to rock.
And the jizza. And that's a great place to be. That's a great place to be.
This dude, since you brought up D'Angelo, I always say, yeah, he used to rock the, I mean, you know, I knew him back then a little bit, but I always say, yeah, he used to always rock the overalls with the one joint off. He had a one joint hook with
Yeah,
the black boots.
I remember the hammer pants.
You
Yeah, I remember the hammer pants.
absolutely.
And I think it was known that he went to Apollo when we were at school, like the real Apollo, not with the Sandman about the real Apollo with his real talent, So
Right.
I was rooting for him at an early, way back when, man.
Yeah, I just remember him popping up on the screen one day, whatever year it was, 95 maybe? Whatever
Mm-hmm.
year Brown Sugar came out. And I was like, hold on. No, I didn't even know. I just saw him on the screen. And I was like, hold on, bro.
Yeah.
That Mike? And then
I remember my first year coming back from the Netherlands.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm into music, and I'm going still hanging out and working out. I still got a lot of friends there. So some of my best friends, we just I went and brought that CD back. It's like, man, y'all gotta listen to this. Everybody do what you need to do to get situated, to get your mind right, to rock to this joint. And man, I just opened them up to something. It's like, you just know when it's one of those movements,
Mm-hmm.
you just glad you're a part of it. And everybody kind of got a story from that. When that CD dropped.
For sure. For sure. Oh man. So you mentioned being back in the Netherlands. Big black man in the Netherlands. How does that work?
Man, it was great. Now, when you say the Netherlands, you got to make sure the people know that Amsterdam is within that. You know what I'm saying? So,
yes, sir. Absolutely.
a lot of people don't know that that was one of the biggest entertainment. Because my biggest fear is I ain't gonna have no music. I ain't gonna have this. I'm gonna be missing out on stuff. But to the contrary, man, it was as artists coming over there every weekend from home to partake in the legalities that they had overseas in Amsterdam specifically, Holland, right. The Netherlands specifically. So music was big over there. I was sending my boys home music that they weren't getting, remixes and stuff that would come out that I had never heard, and I probably wasn't going to hear unless I was there, because so many artists would come in there just to vacate and do a little work while they're there as well.
Yeah.
But so I there's a lot of, it's like they also called it like the melting pot of the world, because you have Africans there, you have which are Sudanese people, a lot of people from Sudan, and it's another country of Africa that's right there, but. Man, you have Asians, of course there's the Dutch people and Africans. And so you just get a mix of just beautiful people, as well. But everyone loved America, everyone loved the music, everyone loved basketball. So it was great. It was great.
Did you enjoy the basketball though? Did you enjoy the experience as far as hooping?
I did. Because I got so much better as a player too. Because going back to, if you got the ball in your hands and you taking the shots, you're going to improve. You're just going to get better. And I never really had that opportunity since middle school, high school, so.
High school, man. High school, you definitely had the ball in your hand in 12th grade.
I had the ball in my hand in high school. Y'all got it to me. I appreciate that. But yeah, man, it's totally different over there, because if you're the American, you're going to get the shots, and you're going to go down. You better go down swinging, because the blame going to be on you whether you win or lose. Probably more so than even the coach. Who the coach is, and in most places they were allowed 2 Americans. Some leagues I was in, it was 1. So me and the other American, we would bond. Most cases. So it was a guy from a white guy named, what's Jeff's last name? It was a white guy on my team from Tulsa. He was like a shooting guard, and we were the 2 Americans my first time out the gate, and that was cool. It was cool. He was over there with his wife. I'm over there wide open, brand new, straight from college.
Mm-hmm.
So his experience was different than mine. I can tell you that, but. It was good, man. I had a ball over there, man. You know, it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And every place was different. So from there, I went to Israel, then
Okay.
from there to Spain. So that's 3 years in 3 different countries.
I don't even think I realized.
I think I was like, maybe he just thought I was in the Netherlands the whole time.
Yeah, I thought you
Nah,
were just in the Netherlands the whole time.
I bounced around, man. I wasn't even there for 2 years. You
Really,
know? Mm-hmm.
Israel. That's
Israel, yeah. That was, yeah,
yeah, I
man.
know.
That was
Come on, I know you got. I know you got a story about Israel. Something had to happen in Israel.
plenty happened, man. Um, I converted to Islam when I was in Israel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I converted to Islam. I probably knew I was going to do so going into that summer after I played in the Netherlands.
Mm-hmm.
A buddy of mine, like we were literally just soaking up anything we could get from the internet, which, but my journey probably started through hip hop, Wu-Tang, Rakim, Five Percenters, and
Mm-hmm.
going from reciting that, just learning what that is, reading about it, to, okay, I think I know where they coming from, but I want to check out more orthodox and what many people consider true Islam, and so I had teachings and stuff I was collecting from the internet, and it's almost like God led me there, because I got a temporary job while I was in Charlottesville, just working out every day at the Office of Middle Eastern Asian Affairs. And the guy that ran the office was a Muslim guy. So here I am. I'd never met a Muslim, but I'm learning all about Islam that I can and gravitating towards it, and waiting to hear back from my agent where I'm going, what opportunities are coming up. And I remember we were in a bar, me, Jason Williford, Cornell Parker, all my teammates from UVA, who were all playing overseas, hanging out one night and stuff. The bartender's name was Israel, and a couple days after that, the opportunity goes to play to Israel, and I play in Israel, and I knew Palestinians were there, and I knew that they had the strife going on with them and all that stuff. I've somewhat started to learn about, read more, but it just felt like that's where I was supposed to go, and I did, and I had no idea that I was going to necessarily, my intentions weren't to convert, but the way it happened was I was coming home from Christmas for Christmas break, and I had on my UVA gear. I'm in Israel. We're in the airport in Tel Aviv, and this older white guy comes up to me and just saw the Virginia gear and tells me that he used to be a professor there, and he starts naming all these people. Like, he named the Dr. McHugh, who's like the big time sports doctor at UVA, who has the medical facility named after him, done surgeries on me and plenty of other people there. He knew him, he knew these guys. So we're getting on the same plane headed to DC. And he tells me that he was the head psychiatrist for the Palestinian government. And I'm literally, as he's telling me this, got my same little teachings of what I could, the stuff I pulled off the internet, and had never really met a Muslim other than my professor. I mean, the guy whose office I worked at. But I felt like this guy was just brought to me to teach me and sort of guide me. And the crazy thing is, we exchanged numbers, and he was like, call me when you get back in town. Had me come to Jerusalem and things like that. Man, I lost his phone number when I got back in town. 3 months go by, and I had given up, like kind of frustrated. I was like, man, I missed that opportunity. And one day I cleaned my room and just sat down, and his phone number was right on the floor. It's like 3 months later. And the next day, I was in Jerusalem, and I actually converted on a peaceful protest in a mountain that they had. that was Palestinian territory, but the Israelis had taken it away from them. So they had a peaceful protest on that mountain, a thing called Mount Gunami, that day, and that's where I converted.
Wow.
In Israel there with other Palestinians with me and stuff like that, and went to a kibbutz in the West Bank and sort of got my first knowledge of things, and every man and boy in the neighborhood from like 8 to 80 just lined up and welcomed me to Islam, and and showered and ate from the same plate with my new I guess he introduced me to a political prisoner named Khalid, who had been arrested 12 times, and that's whose home I was in, whose community I was in. He was like a leader of that community and introduced me to everyone. But yeah, man. So you say something happened, that's something that happened. And you know what's crazy is after that, it was still like maybe less than a month, maybe 3 weeks or so left in our season. And when I tell you the hatred between them is like 10 times what we could ever think of black-white relations were here, at their worst, are here. Really? And so I feel like, my teammates who are all Jewish, because I was on the Israeli team, they called me brother towards the end of the year. And then they went on to learn that I converted to Islam. So they know I wasn't crazy. They know I wasn't demonic. They know I wasn't a killer or a terrorist. So maybe that changed their minds. A few people's minds on that. And but the crazy thing is the next couple of games we had, like I remember kids in the crowd meeting us at the bus and stuff, yelling, and one kid's like, "Yuri, you Muslim, you Muslim." I started getting prank calls and people calling my house, cussing, and because I'm Muslim, and I feel like something really, really could have happened in a negative way. Right. If I had given him a call and I'd done that with 3 months to go in the season. Yeah. You know what I mean? True. Who knows what would have happened? I don't know. Yeah, there would have been more time and opportunity. Because, it was in the paper. Like, I got calls, a couple journalists and things like that. Like, I talked to a French reporter, I remember during that time, because it was news that an American basketball player who's employed by the Jewish and by the Israelis converts to Islam, and the tension and the hatred between them is just so huge. It just made a story, I guess. And, wow, that's a story. Yeah. Dang. Yeah, but I had a ball, man. I had a lot of fun there. And the good thing is my parents, they came to visit me for each place that I went. I was only in 3 countries, but my mom and stepdad, they came 2 weeks out of the season, and they got to see the world and, got to do things because I was there. That's a beautiful thing. Thing. So we rode camels, did all that stuff, man. Had a great time. You could be a 6'7" on a camel, 6'8" on a camel, man. Yep. Camel said he ain't signing for all that. Right. So you came back, you did your things, you came back. As far as business, we don't have to get into what you did when you came back, but where you've ended up at this point is owning your own business. Talk about that a bit. Yeah, that came about, I was, like I said, after I played ball, wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I had the idea of maybe being sales. I thought about broadcasting, sports broadcasting, things like that. But I kind of gravitated to commercial insurance with a commercial insurance firm here in Richmond. Did that for 3 years. And didn't have any training, anything like that. They just kind of made me an account executive and go out there, hit your contacts and see what you can strum up, So I did that for 3 years, but then I realized that I probably would be better off if I was going to be in sales, where I could sell to the individuals that I know as opposed to just business owners and
Right.
stuff like that. So that opened me up to doing individual insurance, health insurance, and then eventually the financial planning. So I started out with my property and casualty license, and then got the life and health license, Series 6 and 63.
So
You know.
how was that? Not only were you, I mean, you're coming back to the United States, so it's not like you're coming back to something brand new, but how was it not being an athlete? Was it an easy transfer?
Um, yes, it was.
I regret doing,
Um, it was, I never felt like I never felt like, even though I was, like I said, in the top 20, 25, I never had I was never overly excited about playing basketball. If that sounds weird, it does. I love basketball to death,
Mhm.
but it was not the all and end all for me, And it's crazy. I mean, I tell people now that I feel like amongst the greats more in music than I ever did playing basketball, even though I was top 25 in the country.
Right.
I feel like being 6'8" didn't hold me back, but it put me in play. I got a great degree. I got my degree from UVA. It got me a free, scholarship. It got me school for free. I traveled all over the world because of that round ball, because I'm 6'8" and had talents, but that wasn't, I feel like music was always my true passion. And start from a rap group, middle school, to, start making beats after college. And now, rapping, making beats, and then DJing, but I always feel like I had a top 25 ear, you know what I'm saying? And
yes,
and beats and things like that I've always done. And people that know me well, they know what I'm saying. But I think basketball could have held me back from my true passion, if that makes sense. Because it'd have been nothing for us. I do regret not in middle school, just me and my boys. Like, we were all big. Like, I'm like 6'2", in 8th grade. They're like, my other MC, he's like 6 feet. And then our DJ / beatboxer, to show you how long ago it was. I mean, he was a big football. They both had football scholarships. So, like, we kind of were impressive at our size. I mean, for our age, you know what I mean?
Right.
We should have just left North Carolina. What was going to pop off for us in North Carolina? We weren't going to be the first 3 Petey Pablos in 1988, 89. You know what I'm saying? So we should have just moved to where the getting was, and just try to. But things happen like they happen, I also probably should have DJ'd while I was overseas,
Yeah.
Be worldly, because hip hop's king everywhere I went. You know what I mean? And my ear was always my ear. So in college, and I was DJing after parties and stuff like that, and not even turntables, just, and guys just knew I just had the ear. When I'm going to Plan 9 tomorrow, what CD? Oh, get that, this coming out, this, that, and that. This only got 2 songs on it, so don't mess with that.
Listen.
I was always that dude.
So now you DJ under the name DJ YB, WHYBE.
BE. And when I'm allowed, I like to throw the question mark and the exclamation point on the end of it. Reminiscent of the DJ Clue. But why B? Why? What's the existence all about? Why B?
That's real. And it just happens to work out very well with the initials. So
right, man, right.
I got to tell you, well, obviously, not obviously, but you DJ You go live on Wednesdays.
Call it YB Wednesdays for sure. And every now and then I get the itch and just go live on the weekends sometime, but I don't commit to that. So I don't, just when I get the itching for a scratch, man, got to get my wiki on.
Let me tell you, man, I have said this. I said it during one of your sets, right? You pull out some joints, joints that I know people don't even. I feel like people don't even get it a lot of times.
Right.
Always, it's kind of like if I say something in a group of people and one person laughs, but I know it's something that everybody doesn't know.
Yeah.
As long as I know what it is.
Uh-huh.
Like when you play music, because them joints be like, it'll be a joint that's out of the blue, and I'm like, yo, why? I love that joint, and I just played it, so I feel you on the whole ear thing, man. Because
yeah, like keep them guessing sometime. Keep them guessing. And what's crazy is, I really just started during the pandemic, of course, and where I officially got some equipment and stuff like that.
mm-hmm.
But man, a crazy story on how I really started. Like for years, I've been accumulating what I call the originals. Songs that people sampled and made millions of dollars, and they're the popular song. But I always loved the originals. You know what I'm saying? So I've had, over the years, I accumulated hundreds of these, to the point that I just had to show them off. I had to let people hear them. So one of my homeboys, Farad El-Amin, who's my son's uncle, matter of fact, and he's been DJing for like 15 years. And I went over his house one day. Well, first it started with us just sending songs back and forth. I'm hitting him with some of these originals. And I love to do that with, those ones that people probably don't know. I know you probably don't know because I'm a music head and I didn't know. So chances are you didn't know either. But I mean, I really get a lot of pleasure from introducing that to people and their reaction and stuff. So I kind of woke him up and his DJing. And one day I go to his crib. He's like, man, we just gotta get together. So I go to his crib. I don't even have turntables. I didn't even have, the digital turntables, nothing. I was going to rock a party. I'm like, my goal, I'm going on Instagram because I saw D Nice go on Instagram, and I'm gonna be hitting them with joints. I got joints, so I'm gonna do this and let the world hear it. I ain't even have no turntables. I had 2 iPhones, Smitty, and 2 sets of speakers, no headphones. I went to my boy's Farad house, set up shop, and I started blending in my transition. I got fade this volume out while I blend the other one in. And he's like, that's a dope transition. Another dope how you don't even have headphones? And I'm like, just kind of know the song, just know where that joint gonna come in and where I want it to stop and fade in. You just fade it in right. It's sort of like a mind game with the transition too. You just sort of go smooth. And I said, yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm going on Instagram. He said, that's hot, but I ain't letting you do that. So he pretty much gave me his controllers that he was working with. And he was going to stop DJing, he said. I hope he don't mind me telling the story, but he said that our passion, he vibed off my passion and us sending the songs back and forth. He said he was ready to throw the towel in. But he gave me his turntables, and that was 3 months from, 3-4 months ago. And the rest just, hopefully it'll be history,
Yes,
good
sir,
story.
yes. So you got the YB Wednesdays, you do the Jay Willie show.
Yeah, so think of Kid Capri on Def Comedy Jam with the Jay Willie show. It's a sports show where they get different guys come in. It's all virtual right now. So I'll do maybe the intro or the outro music going in or out, something like that. But, like when I feel like a pirate when you're DJing on these platforms, because the copyright police, man, you got these algorithms and stuff like that. You can't play other people. Like, well, what am I going to play then? Because everything is owned by somebody else, That's what. So, but I'm figuring out ways to manipulate around that. But I ain't gonna play that. I ain't want to do that on somebody else's platform. So on the Jay Willie joint, which comes on YouTube Live, I'm just playing beats and stuff that I have, because I got tons of material. So there's less chance that I'll be messed with playing my own material,
That's dope, though, bro.
And then there's another show that I think I'm part of now. I just learned about this guy. Tony Bennett is UVA's now famous coach.
Mm-hmm.
Been successful the 9-10 years he got there. But from day one, there's this guy named Phony Bennett that he came out with a Twitter name Phony Bennett, and he just started tweeting during the UVA games, just saying stuff, and he calls it that Tony wouldn't say, because Tony's a pretty respectful guy. But Phony's not cussing, but he's just a comedian. So this is a local Charlottesville comedian. But now this guy has over 10,000 followers, and he has a podcast. And so I help out with some of the beats and stuff on that too. And they shout me out. So, it's just promotion about what I'm doing too, and helping out. And it's a UVA family type oriented things, and we all just sort of helping each other.
Indeed. I love it. Yo, you told me a bunch of things that I had no idea about. Did you want to mention your actual business that you do now?
Yeah. Your Way Medical Transportation. That's a play off the name, YUR-way, off my name. But yeah, take people to the doctor. It's been 10 years now I've been doing this. Is a wheelchair, taking people wherever they need to get to, actually. I've taken people to Kings Dominion in wheelchairs, stuff like that. And so it's ambulatory, which is walking. And some people have canes or walkers, and wheelchairs. But we also do stretcher services as well. So that's I was telling you off camera, man. That's like a movie, because there's ups and downs of it. There's people. There's people that they're still human, So I've seen a lot of things that you laugh about, cry about, And I actually started writing a movie/book that speaks to that, because it's just a world that people aren't really in unless you're in it. You know what I'm saying? And me being hands-on with it, I see these people as people, just as that, Man, some of it's been some little gangsters in wheelchairs, brother. All of it. I had one dude, man. He making sales in my wheelchair van, calling up people, talking about 8-ball, this and that, boom, 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 boom. I ended up buying a bootleg DVD from the brother, man.
He got the hustle,
yes, sir,
he got the hustle.
Yeah, man.
Wow, yeah, that's a whole different world, man, because, a lot of people don't deal with that. Like I mentioned to you, I've only dealt with that as far as someone else and within the last 10 years. So it's something to get used to, especially treating people like people, as opposed to being like, oh, well, you have no legs, so I can't have a conversation with you about what, because you have no legs, as if that's a thing. But it is, people feel that. And until you're in it, like you said, you kind of like.
Right. And some people, some people still, they're in their situations, but they have the most pleasant disposition and personality. And to be honest, that makes it, it makes it not more difficult, but you still understand everyone goes through different things, but you're looking at them like you're thinking you have every right to be mad at the world, but you're not. You're actually so pleasant to be around in a lot of cases, some people. So then you have the ones that are just mean, and I'm looking like, you don't have to be that way. And I can say that because I just saw this person, But I know everyone's situation is different.
Right.
But
actually, it reminds me of an old friend of mine from childhood who was in an accident a few years ago, lost both his legs. I saw him maybe 2 years ago, and he told me it was the best thing that could have happened in his life.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, and it felt genuine. Like he said it, and it felt genuine. It felt like he really meant it. He was like, I was doing too much. I was running around, and I really needed to be with my family and my daughter, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I mean, I don't know, I'm not in that situation, so I don't know how I would take it, but that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah. I played one of the best players I ever, probably one of the top 2 or 3, and I'm not even putting them in an order. I'm just saying, just probably the best player I played against, Rodney Rogers. He was at Wake Forest.
Wake Forest. Mm-hmm.
Man, I played him, I think it was my first year. Good God Almighty, man. That dude could jump out the gym. He was like 270 pounds at maybe only 6'6". So think Charles Barkley with definitely more athletic at that time. I would dare say he had a higher vertical than Charles Barkley, but he could shoot and dribble and run like a deer, But he went on and had a pretty good NBA career, but had a 4-wheeling accident that left him paralyzed from the waist down, And but I hear through a friend of mine that's neighbors with him actually, that he's doing, like, he's in great spirits, And you would think that somebody that's lived like that and was that athletic, that talent, with a godsend like that, that type talent, would be bitter or upset, but no.
You might understand it. That's real. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. I'm glad we got to catch up, bro. I don't want to end it on that note. You have anything you want to share with the people, anything we need to tell them?
Wow. Check me out on YB Wednesdays, Instagram or Facebook. I guess some of my other shows and stuff that I mentioned, friends of mine that I'm on. What do I want the people to know?
What do you want the people to know? It might be nothing.
I've said a lot. I will say that, let me say this, man. We weren't the closest of friends in high school, but we were high school teammates, partially because, I probably wasn't many people I was close to because I didn't grow up with you guys,
right.
But I just came there as a teenager. But man, watching you now and watching this platform, man, that you got going with Source and Company, man, you're doing great things, man. And the different types of people that you're interviewing, the different types of awareness that you're bringing forward, hats off to you, brother. Hats off. That's what I want people to know. I want people to know more about what you're doing. I just subscribed today on YouTube as well, by the way, to your page there.
Appreciate it.
So I'm proud of you, man. Proud of what you're doing. I'm honored that you felt like I was worthy to be on this.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I was like, I got to get the big dog. Like, my best basketball playing teammate would have to be on the show. Like, we got it.
Right.
The wild part is I actually spoke with Mike Torrance today, which is,
Did you?
Today, literally a couple hours ago, and he told me to tell you what's up. But yeah, I definitely appreciate it, man. Like I said, I appreciate you taking the time to jump on and rock with me.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, bro. It's my pleasure.
No doubt. Once again, Yuri Barnes. Appreciate y'all joining us. Source out here.